Okay, I think it's time to start. 1 second. Here we go. All right. I'm testing quite a few things today. If you haven't noticed, there's quite a few things that are kind of new here going on across the screen. So, with that being said, if anything is not working, please let me know. You know, we have the background music, which is new. We have a chat box, which is new. I tested everything earlier, and it was working. But, you know, with my luck, everything is probably gonna break. And I'll have no control over that. So we're gonna see. We're gonna see what works. Anyway, howdy do everyone. Thank you for joining me today. My name's Angie, and this is my first just talking stream. I can't believe we finally made it to this. Honestly, I usually just have a video game here to back me up, but this is one of the first times that I don't have one. And it's a little intimidating. What just updated? What just updated on my computer? I don't know if anyone else heard that, but something just updated. I think that's my tablet, actually. Okay, doesn't matter. All right, if at any point in the stream, I see that we have some viewers here. At any point you want to chat in, your chat will now appear on, should appear on the chat bubble. So please type in. I am testing things out, so it does help if you would just kindly say a few words. But other than that, yeah, today is just going to be a lot of me talking. What? No book to read? No, I'm sorry, Momster. Our book club is on Monday. Today is Thursday. Also, welcome in. It's been quite a while since you've been in my chat. Good to have you back. Oh, yep, today is just me being a big mouth and talking a whole bunch. So like and subscribe. And welcome in. So, if at any time you guys could tell me if the sound is working okay, if you guys can hear background music. There's supposed to be background music playing. Thanks, been traveling? Good to hear. I hope it's all been fun for you. But yeah, hopefully everything will be working. There should be background music. You guys should be able to see chat. And if all those things are working, then I won't have to worry. But if they're not, I'm gonna have to stop stream. Okay. So the main topic today is going to be over Texas Frightmare. That is what I wrote in the description and everything. However, if there's any questions for me that you have during the stream, I will try to get to them if I can. This is just chatting stream, so it's going to be really casual. We're just going to be talking to each other. Think of it like we're at a cafe together and we're just kind of hanging out. And that's the vibe for the day. That's why we're at a cafe right now. Thanks to everyone in the description who had the free assets I could use for this. Everything here is, you know, an asset that was available for free, and I put everyone's name in the description. So if you're interested in having this kind of setup on for yourself, or, you know, you're just interested in some of the free assets there, please check out those people. They did a great job on these, and it's amazing they're letting people use them for free. Sound is good, background music is fine, but hard rock would be better. I'm sorry. This is our, like, nice little cafe, you know? I was trying to pick out music that would go really well for it. Alright. Yeah, so, let's talk. I had quite the exciting weekend. I was at Texas Frightmare all weekend. That's why I didn't have a stream on Monday. Or the weekend. I've been doing weekend streams now, even though, like, that's not part of my regular schedule. I started doing the weekend streams, and I like doing them. Never thought I'd work my way up to doing 3 streams a week, but I'm even considering more, every now and then. Turns out, I like streaming. Go figure. Streaming was, I think, the thing I was most scared to do when I started YouTube. And now it's the thing I want to continue doing, and I want to do a ton of it. But gotta slow down a little bit. I have other things I have to do. Streaming is not my only job, so we can't stream more than the 3 times a week. But I seen 2 times was supposed to be my cutoff, but I do seem to be doing 3 recently. Anyways, you are a fish, streaming is natural. That's right! You're correct. It comes natural to me. Talking comes natural to me. I don't know what that says, but so, where to start? There's a lot to get into. So last week I was only able to stream 2 times, and then I said I wasn't going to be streaming over the weekend or on Monday, and the whole reason was because of Texas Frightmare. Now, for anyone that has no idea what Texas Frightmare is, it is a horror convention that they hold every year. I'm not sure if it is the biggest one in Texas, but it is a big one, and it's held in Texas, hence Texas Frightmare. And, I had heard of Texas Frightmare a while ago, like years and years and years ago. I was on vacation, and we were at DFW for something or another. I can't actually remember why we were there, but we were taking a bus. And on that bus, right when we got on, there was all of these people wearing zombie makeup, just like walking around. And obviously everyone on the bus is like, what is happening? Why is there so many people like dressed like the Walking Dead walking around? And the bus driver was like, oh yeah, there's this big horror convention that happens over in Texas, and it's right by the airport, so there's a lot of people just getting off and going straight to that. And so that was the first time I had ever even heard of the concept of a horror convention. Like, I had been to conventions before. Specifically, like, I had gone to Comic-Con, and there was a couple of anime conventions that I've gone to. But I'd never even fathomed the idea of a horror convention. For those that don't know me, I love horror. It is my favorite genre. I read horror books, I play horror video games, I watch a ton of horror movies, and I write horror in my free time. So, the idea of a horror convention was one that definitely appealed to me. So I was pretty excited to have this revelation that, there are horror conventions, and there's a horror convention in Texas. That's a start. I forgot that information. I didn't really forget that information. It's just, I stopped going to conventions. Like, there was a point in my life where I was going to conventions regularly. Like, almost every year, I would go to a convention, like, twice a year. And, like, that happened pretty often. I had a friend that really liked going to conventions, and she was way more regular with them than I was. But she would invite me along to conventions quite a bit. And I kind of, fell off with that friend, not in a bad way. It's just, friendships part. So I kind of lost contact with her, and I didn't go to conventions as much anymore. So, it's been, quite a while. I don't want to think of how long it had been, but, oh man, it's been like almost 9 years since I've been to a convention. So, quite a while. And I had a bunch of messages came in on my phone all at once. What's going on? Oh, never mind. That's nothing important. Family group text, everyone's talking. I thought that something was happening for a second, like, oh god. But no, it's nothing. Okay. Alright. Now I gotta find my place again. Maybe I should turn my phone off. I get too distracted. But I'm always paranoid that I'm, family is important, yes, but I'm always paranoid that it's gonna be my friends texting me going like, hey, your sound is off. You've been talking for 10 minutes straight with no sound, you moron. And that's like my biggest fear. And even though I've been talking to you in chat and I shouldn't have that fear, I do. I'm afraid that, like, oh, all my sound just went off and I've just been an idiot talking to myself. So, you know, I look at my text messages sometimes just in case that's a possibility. Okay. Well, I got completely sidetracked from there. I don't remember where I was. Conventions, I went to them. I don't so much anymore. We tell you here. Yeah, I know. Again, it's just a paranoia. I need to stop being so paranoid. But I'm a paranoid fish. I live in the deep sea. Everything is always out to get me, okay? Anyways, I have a friend, now that, you know, she goes to conventions every now and then. For, these stories, I am going to call her R. Oh, hey, Oliver. You're not supposed to be up there. No, Oliver, no. Oh, God. Okay, well, the cat is here, and he's behind my computer, which he shouldn't be. Wow. Wow, you have a friend. Thank you, Momster. You sound just like my mom. Oh, man. Wow, you have friends? You actually socialize with people? Okay. Yes, I'm trying to get my cat, out from the back of my computer, and it's not working, and I'm trying to talk at the same time. Okay. Well, I guess he's just gonna be there for a little bit. Oh, it only gets bad when he starts swatting at me and, you know, taking out the cords. Let's hope he doesn't do that. Okay. So, yeah, my friend R, she goes to conventions every now and then. And she invited me recently, for people that have been watching my channel for a little bit, she invited me to WeebCon. I talked about that in one of my Vampire Survivor streams. That was a really fun time. I really enjoyed myself there. And I don't want to, like, for any of my friends that may watch this video, I don't think any of them do, so I'm not really worried about that. But, like, in the past when I had gone to conventions, I've always had fun going to conventions, and everyone I went with, like, it was a good time, and I'm not trying to say it wasn't. But there was a lot of times where I wouldn't really be able to do what I wanted to do. It was like the group wanted to do things, and that's what we did, and we couldn't really separate from the group. And at some of the conventions we went to, I understood why they felt that way, because they were big, especially some of the California conventions. Like, they're huge, you can get lost really easy. I understand why they didn't want to get separated at all. But there was a lot of times I would do these conventions and I would have things that I really wanted to do, and a lot of times I was just not able to do them. Hi, I'm doing good today. Welcome to the stream. This is one of our first streams that we actually have the chat view visible. So say hi to everyone. All right. But yeah, there was a lot of times that I would go to these conventions and not really be able to do what I wanted to do. And I still had fun. Like, I had a blast every time I went to conventions. And, you know, I always did, like, my own thing. Like, I like to cosplay. I don't cosplay so much anymore, but I used to cosplay. Back when 9 years ago, which is, again, quite the thing to think about, but 9 years ago, I used to cosplay quite a bit. I would cosplay as Sailor Venus from Sailor Moon a lot. I actually, I used to cosplay a lot of, like, yandere characters. I always thought it would be fun at conventions to cosplay those type of characters. But I ended up not doing that quite so much. Mostly because, and again, this is not to throw any, like, group under the bus or anything. I know not everyone is like this, and I'm not trying to, like, say that when I say this, but I noticed a lot of times when I would cosplay those characters, a lot of people kind of, to put it in a way, I guess, boundaries kind of got ignored. like, a lot of times people would try to get me to do things that I just wasn't comfortable doing. And it just made for a lot of really awkward situations. And, you know, I would say no to a lot of things, and a lot of moods would get ruined. And, like, it just, you know, no one was exactly mean per se. Well, not everyone. There was sometimes, but for the most part, no one was, like, super mean. But it was just, like, when I cosplayed, like, characters that were more, like, on the crazier side of things, or more, like, the yandere type of characters, I noticed that there was some boundaries that would be crossed a lot more. So I didn't really cosplay those characters anymore. And instead, I usually just cosplayed, like, either very obscure characters or characters that I didn't have to wear a wig. Because putting wigs on was a pain. I mean, I cosplay Sailor Venus a lot, so, like, I like wearing wigs, but it was a pain to put on a lot of times when you'd have to wake up in the morning and get ready to stand in line, and, oh, gotta take a little while to put on a wig. It just got a little annoying, so I stopped. I still every now and then cosplay Sailor Venus when I go to, like, certain events, but not so much anymore. Now I usually just try to find simple cosplays I can do that won't take a lot of time. Anyways, that was completely off topic. I was at WeebCon, wasn't I? That was where we were when I left off in this story. When I was at WeebCon with my friend R. You know, we got to do a lot of things, but we were only there for one day, so we were kind of limited. And, you know, she really wanted to go there because she's a fan of a lot of, like, classic cartoons. Please say you did do Sailor Venus for Frightmare. I didn't do Venus for Frightmare. Don't worry about that. I know this sounds weird, but in Omegaverse, since you're the alpha and Go is the Omega, does that mean you're going to? Oh my gosh. Who knows, man? To be honest, I haven't read a whole lot of Omegaverse stuff to really know. I do know it. I do know of it, but, like, I don't know that much about it. Is that a thing? Is that a thing that often happens in Omegaverse? I legitimately don't know. I don't know. I'll ask one of my friends. She watches a lot of stuff like that. She's been trying to get me to read a bunch of stuff like that for forever. Anyways. Yes, it happens. Oh my! Oh wow, I'm learning new stuff. Okay. Alright, where was I? WeebCon? Yeah. Cosplaying, I didn't do that for WeebCon. But, yeah, I had a fun time there. My friend is a really big fan, my friend R is a really big fan of classic cartoons. Like Scooby-Doo, or, you know, some classic Disney shows, and just a lot of things. You know, she really likes comics as well. And she likes games. And a voice actor she really liked was going to be there, and she drew a picture for him. It was really cool. I talked about that more in my Vampire Survivor streams, if you guys are interested in that. But, yeah, I don't have the voice actor's name right here, and I'm really bad with names, so I'm not sure if I can remember it. Something interesting is that male seahorses and female kangaroos have something in common, that they carry their babies on a bag. I knew that, actually. Seahorses have a lot of very interesting facts about them. I wrote a short story one time. It was a fictional one, obviously, but it was about seahorses. And yeah, seahorses are fascinating. I am a big fan of all aquatic animals. And on that note, kangaroos are cute, but can also punch me. But I like kangaroos too. Okay. Anyways. Let's see. But yeah, I won't talk about WeebCon too much in this. Fun fact, baby kangaroos are called joeys, yeah! It's so cute. Let's see. Right, so my main point for bringing up WeebCon and my friend R is mostly, when we decided to sit down and kind of rest after we had done most of our, regular convention stuff that we went around to do, we started talking about our general convention experiences. And my friend R, she had never been to a convention for more than one day. She usually knew exactly what she was going to do, and she would just go for the one-day pass, see when the people she wanted to see were going to be there. And, she didn't do panels, she didn't do showings or anything. She just went there and that was it. Which is a perfectly fine way to do conventions, by the way. And we were talking about it a little more, I've used to do a lot of conventions. WeebCon was my first in, again, dreadful to think about, but 9 years. And that was a lot of fun for me. I had kind of missed going to conventions, and WeebCon kind of scratched an itch I hadn't had in a while. So we were talking a lot about conventions and the different types we had gone to. And I mentioned that, one of the ones that I've always wanted to go to is a horror convention. And she had, like me, way back, had never heard of horror conventions before. And I was like, I first heard of one when I was in Texas. They had this really big one, and I just happened to be in the area for it. I didn't stop in, but, all these people were dressed as zombies when we got on the bus at the airport. And so I know that there's a big one in Texas. And so she pulled out her phone to look it up, and I did too, and we found Texas Frightmare right away. And immediately, as we're looking at what's going to happen at Texas Frightmare, we see the guest list. And that guest list, let me tell you, there were so many big names on it. The first name we kind of latched onto that we were like, oh, wow, was Eli Roth. Which, if you don't know who Eli Roth is, he has single-handedly made almost every movie that has traumatized me. And this is coming from a diehard horror fan. I've been to exactly one Comic-Con. I got a wood-burned Edward Kenway and Solid Dude dressed in a perfect Lord Dark helmet from Spaceballs. Good times. Yeah, conventions are fun. Also, Waya, welcome. I've always loved going to conventions. I love seeing people dress up, and I love just kind of walking around and seeing everything that they have. So, the idea of going to a horror convention when I am a super big fan of horror, has always appealed to me. And, we saw Eli Roth on that list, and both of us were just kind of shocked that, Eli Roth was going to be here as a guest for one of these things, which thinking about it now and thinking about how big Texas Frightmare actually is not the most surprising thing. But you gotta remember that both of us didn't really know that much about horror conventions when we were looking at this. And so seeing Eli Roth, who, I've only seen Eli Roth in interviews, and I know him as the director that traumatized me. I also know him as the, Bear Jew from Inglourious Bastards. So, I was kind of over there what? Eli Roth is going to be here? Excuse me? And so we looked more at the list. And we see names like Warwick Davis, or Lin Shaye. And automatically, I am just oh my god. I can't believe this. And so my friend was kind of getting super excited at this point. And I was getting really excited at this point. And, it was almost instantaneous that we decided we have to go to this thing. And, within a week, the tickets were bought, and I was ready to be shipped out for Texas Frightmare. Of course, Texas Frightmare didn't start till a few months later, but I was already preparing for this. This was exciting. What was disappointing was that I heard that the year before, Felicia Rose was there. And, I guess I don't talk about this a whole lot, but, Sleepaway Camp is one of my favorite slasher movies. I love Felicia Rose. Like, oh my god, she seems like such a nice lady from interviews and stuff. I've always wanted to meet her, and so hearing that I missed my chance by a year to talk to Felicia Rose, I was so devastated. And the other person I found out that was there last year was John Carpenter. The John Carpenter? Like, okay. I know, again, like, I don't really talk about my favorite movies that much on this channel, but I have watched every single Halloween movie. I love Halloween. I love The Thing. I love John Carpenter. If I was to name off some of the people I want to meet most, John Carpenter and Felicia Rose are both on that list. So I was a little upset that, like, you know, I hadn't tried to find out about this convention sooner. But regardless, seeing the list of people that were going to be there this year was, like, I was hyping myself up for it. For one, Matthew Lillard was on that list, which I think is a name a lot of people know by now. But if you don't, Matthew Lillard plays Shaggy in Scooby-Doo, the live-action movies, and I believe he also plays in the cartoons now as well. And then, you know, he plays in the original Scream movie, which I will get to. I have a lot to say on Scream, so that's gonna be a minute. I'll get to that in a bit. And then he also plays in the Five Nights at Freddy's movie. So, you know, pretty big roles altogether. He plays in a lot, but those are like the big roles that, like, I know a lot of people are going to recognize. Imagine if Cove was bisexual. What would be your reaction if they made a bisexual character instead of a demisexual one? I think I would feel about the same. Yeah, I don't really think there's a huge difference in how I would view Cove with that. Love Scooby-Doo? Love Scooby-Doo. That is the correct opinion. Oh my gosh, my cat is going to shut off my computer. His paw is on the off button. I've never been so scared in my life. These might be my last words before this stream ends. If he presses down, it's over. Okay, I'm gonna try to remove my cat real fast. I will be right back. I'm gonna put the I'll be right back music on. Or there's no music. I'm sorry. I don't have any music for that yet. I'm gonna put the screen on. Wow, what is happening? I can't talk. Why do you guys show up for these things? I'm doing a just talking stream and I can't talk. All right, I am going to put the be right back screen on so I can remove my cat. I will be right back. All right, we are back. The kitty has been successfully kicked out, and my computer did not shut off, thankfully. Okay. Scooby-Doo is way better than that Vilma show? Absolutely agreed. I think that is a very popular opinion. As a longtime fan of Scooby-Doo, absolutely 100% agree. Let's see. Yeah, Matthew Lillard has quite a few credentials under his belt. So I think he is probably one of the more well-known from, like, the younger generation and, like, a lot of, like, the older fans as well. We'll get to Matthew Lillard. I have a lot to say on him too. Nothing bad, promise. Just a lot to say. A lot happened at this con. But we're not even there yet in the story. There was, a lot of things leading up to this where we were, debating on who to see, what we were going to do. Some cancellations unfortunately happened. My friend R is a huge fan of werewolf movies. And they were going to have two of the main characters from American Werewolf in London. And unfortunately, both of them had to cancel. And that was really unfortunate. Unfortunately, I haven't seen American Werewolf in London. That's one of the classic horror movies that I haven't watched yet. It's on my list. It's just I've never made my way over to watch it for some reason. But I've always wanted to. Regardless, a lot of the conventions seem to be themed after werewolves. Enough so that, man, I really think that they planned a lot of things with them in mind. They had a big werewolf dance party at the beginning, and a lot of the vendors were selling werewolf merchandise. It just seemed like a lot of this convention was based on werewolves, and unfortunately, those two weren't able to come. And I knew my friend was kind of sad about that, but there was a lot of other names that she was really excited to see. Somehow I never put that together, the whole Scream movie. I was trying to figure out who that guy was the whole movie, then immediately forgot I was wondering. As you can tell from my messages, my brain no work good. You're fine, Maya. It's a very young Matthew Lillard in that movie. A lot of those actors are very famous now. I have to, my platonic love, just uploaded a new video, have to play it. Gotcha. Have fun. See you later. All right. Matthew Lillard was very young in Scream. I think, he was 19? I don't remember. I know some of the actors in that movie were about 19. I know David Arquette was, I think, 25 in that movie. Courtney Cox, who, if you haven't watched Friends, Monica from Friends, Courtney Cox, plays Gail Weathers in that movie. She was a big name at that time. Look at me talking about Scream after I said I wasn't going to talk about Scream until later. American Werewolf in London was so good. Bummer they weren't able to be there. Yeah, no, I was planning on watching American Werewolf right before the convention because of those two. And I thought it was going to be really cool to watch the movie and then go to the convention and they were there. But, stuff happens. I'm not entirely sure what happened, but I had heard that there was an injury. And I just hope they're both okay more than anything. And then Warwick Davis also canceled. Again, I'm not really sure what happened, but I heard that it was kind of tragic. And so I really hope that everyone is okay. So with that being said, there was some big cancellations that we were disappointed for. But on top of that, there were some, really good people, really good actors that decided to attend. David Arquette being one of them. So that was the thing. David Arquette decided to join. Skeet Ulrich, if I'm saying his name right, joined. We had a few other, big names that were joining in. I really, I'm having trouble, thinking of everyone that joined later. Doesn't really matter altogether. Just that, we were really excited for the names that were going to be there. So the day before, we decided that we were gonna leave for our lodgings, our hotel and everything the day before. So we got ready, went to our hotel, and then we were staying about 30 minutes out from the venue. It was at a convention center, and we were staying about 30 minutes away from that convention center. And we put a list of everything we were going to do. I never watched Friends. I would watch it every now and then when I got home from school. It would play just on like the network, and I always like put my TV on for background noise. And so I've ended up watching quite a few episodes of Friends. But Friends was really big when Scream was airing, and so having Courtney Cox's name in that movie was something. You know, you have this actress that was known for TV, and suddenly she was now going to be, playing in this big movie. And, you know, it was exciting at the time. You also had Drew Barrymore playing in that movie, which was also huge, having her name attached to it. She was like one of the biggest stars at the time. I saw a single episode and decided I'd stick to MASH. Wow, you went really old on me. MASH is good. Anyway, let's see. So the day before, we were planning out who we wanted to see. And we decided on the panels that we were going to do, because we're going to be there all 3 days. So we decided on like our big, the big stars that we want to get autographs from, that we really want to see, the panels we really want to go to, and like the, what time we were going to go to the vendors and stuff. None of this happened the way we wanted to. I will say right here and now, we planned all of this out and none of it happened this way. I think the only things that stayed the same were the panels we went to, which were at a fixed time. And that was it. But like, that's kind of the thing with conventions. You can try and plan them out, but it's never gonna end up the way you want it to. Regardless, we planned. And we wrote a list down of the top people we wanted to see. And we were planning, for that first day, we were gonna try to get autographs. And then the rest of the convention, we can just relax and not have to think about that. This did not happen. So, the people that we wanted to see the most was, for me, on my list, was David Arquette. Because, for me, I am a gigantic fan of Scream. I've watched a lot of horror movies, I'm not ashamed to say that I've watched a lot of horror movies, and I've watched a lot of franchise horror movies. I've mentioned before, but Halloween is one of my favorite horror movies. I've watched every single Halloween movie. I want you to keep in mind how many there are. I've watched all of them, including the Halloween movie with Busta Rhymes. I've seen it. And so, I've watched a lot of franchise horror movies. I like them. But when I think of the best franchise horror movie, I honestly think Scream is the best one. And before people come at me. While most horror movies seem to really follow the villain, the villain of the movie gets a lot of the big fanfare. Scream hits a little different in that a lot of the times the movies focus more on the protagonists rather than the villain of that movie. They largely delve into more of the characters of that movie, it's more of a mystery on who the villain is, rather than it being solely the slasher killer of the movie. Ghostface is iconic. It's not to say that Ghostface is not iconic. But they make a point in the movie to say that Ghostface is a generic guy in a mask. They sell this mask everywhere. Every kid has bought this mask. Every kid that went to a Halloween store has bought this mask. And so Ghostface is supposed to be able to be anyone. Ghostface can literally be anyone. It's so easy to mass produce because it's just a simple little a costume. And so it's made a point in the movie that Ghostface, even though Ghostface is an iconic villain, I'm not saying otherwise, it's supposed to look like a cheap Halloween getup because it is a cheap Halloween getup. And, a lot of the story is trying to figure out, yes, who Ghostface is, but also following our main protagonists. And our main protagonists are actually seen throughout multiple movies. If you survive the first one, you're gonna go on to the second, and the third, and the fourth. And like, I love that about Scream. It truly is, like, it truly feels like more of a, we are focusing on our protagonist instead of, like, you know, Michael Myers in Halloween or Freddy Krueger. You know, these aren't throwaway characters. These characters are important and they really care about them. And that's part of the reason I've always loved Scream. I love Scream for a lot of reasons, but that is something that I always, like, if I'm recommending horror to people, that is something that I always think of when I think of Scream. Anyways, all this to say, I truly love the Scream movies. I think that they are fantastic, and David Arquette plays my favorite character in the Scream movies. He plays Deputy Dewey, and Deputy Dewey is my favorite. You know, when I was watching Scream for the first time as a teenager, I was going through some stuff and really figuring myself out. And the character Dewey and Courtney Cox's character Gale Weather, being able to see them and their relationship grow throughout the movies really just really helped me as I was, like, growing up and stuff. I don't want to get into some of that. I don't really want to get into some of that stuff. It'll take too long, take away from some things, but they're very important characters to me. And, you know, we stan Dewey in this house, in this stream. So I really wanted to meet David Arquette. That was my main, is that I want to meet David Arquette, and I want to tell him that Dewey as a character meant a lot to me, and I want to thank him for the work he put into that character. And I want to get an autograph, obviously. So that was my main thing. I can't really tell that you like the Scream movies because you don't talk about them much. Well, I'll talk about them enough in this stream, don't worry about that. Oh, man. I do have a tendency to ramble, guys. I'm sorry. I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try to not ramble so much, but this is a just talking stream, so, you know, feel free to ask me questions and stuff and completely derail me. I will do that. I'll completely be derailed by whatever you throw at me. Anyways. So, I listed David Arquette as my big one. My friend R, she listed Matthew Lillard. Which, you know, my friend is a huge classic cartoon fan, super into Scooby-Doo. You know, makes sense that she would really want to see Matthew Lillard. And there's a ton of reasons to want to see Matthew Lillard, and she marked all the boxes for them. You know, she's a FNAF fan, so wanted to see Matthew Lillard for that. You know, she is a, you know, she likes Scream, not as much as I like Scream, because, like, you know, Scream to her is like a good movie, to put it that way. Like, we talked about it. That's why I'm wording it like this. I'm wording it the way she did, but, like, she likes Scream. Yeah, so, like, you know, she likes a lot of what Matthew Lillard plays in. It's fine, I just realized I was listening to your ramble with about a minute delay, you know, just long enough for a freaking address with a knife that could kill me. Yeah! Exactly that plot line from the movie! Scream! If you haven't watched it, watch it! Oh man, I heard my cat just scream outside the door, so hopefully there's not a guy, you know, with a knife ready to kill me there. Just standing outside the door for when I finish streaming. I'm just rambling too much for him. He might give up with that. Okay, gonna calm down now. Take a drink of water or coffee, whatever's in front. Okay. My throat's gonna get really dry throughout this whole thing. Man, whose bright idea was it to just have the person that loves hearing her own voice just talk an entire stream? Alright. So, she wanted to see Matthew Lillard. I wanted to see David Arquette. Simple, right? No. That was the biggest mistake of our lives. Did you cosplay at the convention? I did, but I only cosplayed one day. I'll get into that. I'll tell the story, don't worry. I'm going in order. So, yeah, that was the day before the convention. We got all that planned. Some other, like, names that we were, we put down. We wanted to, like, being honest here, we wanted to see nearly everyone, but we knew that wasn't going to happen. So, I just put David Arquette down because I knew David Arquette was kind of a big name. I didn't know how big. You have order. There was attempted order. But I knew David Arquette was going to be a big name. I didn't know how big, but I knew that he was going to be like one of the ones that probably drew a bigger line. So with that in mind, I kind of, didn't really put anyone else down because I didn't know how hard it was going to be. Whoever could have decided for the sole producer of a channel to produce something. Some things may never be known. Yeah, man, maybe we'll never know who did it. I can't imagine. Let me call my manager up real fast and find out. Oh, man. So, my friend with Matthew Lillard, she had a couple of names down, but like all of those names, we weren't entirely sure like how much of a line there'd be. So we really only expected to get like 1 or 2 signatures. So, Matthew Lillard was her big one. David Arquette was mine. And then we kind of put other people down, like the Lost Boys. they were going to have some Lost Boys there, actors from the movie Lost Boys, if anyone's ever seen that. I'm a big fan of Lost Boys. It's a very special series for me. It's, if Jurassic Park does not count as a horror movie, then Lost Boys is my first horror movie ever. I watched it when I was 7 years old. My mom showed it to me, and it is a very special and dear movie to me. So the fact that they were going to have 2 people from the Lost Boys, Jason Patrick and Billy Wirth, I was very, very excited to be able to go there and see them. So that was going to be my backup, or like if I have time for it, I really want to get their signatures as well. And then I kind of shut off whoever else was going to be there because I kind of gave up hope that I'd be able to see anyone else. Even though there was a lot of names I really wanted to see, I just didn't think I was going to have time to see a whole lot of people. This was a mistake. This was a huge mistake. And, I should have looked at everyone. I should have had more backups because I could not have foreseen what was going to happen. But, Thursday comes and passes, Friday starts. The convention, as it turns out, does not start until 6 o'clock for us, because there's the VIP passes for this convention and there are the general passes, and we had the general passes, and general passes were let in an hour later. So if you had VIP, you got to go in an hour early. That's fine. Not a big deal. I don't have anything against the people that got VIP. But, so we get there, it's 6 o'clock, it's pretty late, and, I'm wearing, I have a supernatural dress that I got years ago, but, I figured it was the perfect time to bust out the supernatural dress. And so I wore that to the convention. It looks good. My friend, she had gotten some, fake blood and fake scars. And so we decked ourselves out with those fake scars and blood. It looked sick. It was awesome. And then we went to the convention. We looked like we had gotten into a really bad fight with someone. It was great. And, both of us had in mind, we're going to try and beeline for the actors we listed. We're going to try to get there, get in line for David Arquette, get in line for Matthew Lillard, and then we're going to have our signatures and be good for the rest of the convention. This did not happen. So we get there. There's no line. There's no line to get in. We get our tickets right away. The lady at the ticket booth, by the way, was so incredibly nice. Like, we got there And, you know, she checked us in, and we let it slip that this was our first time going to a horror convention, and we're kind of nervous. And she was like so nice. She started making a list of every horror convention that she knew was still running, and she wrote them down and gave them to us and was like telling us all about the different ones. Like, she's like, man, if you're a really big fan of horror, there's a haunted house convention that happens, and then like there's some smaller horror conventions. It was just really nice. Hey yo, R here. Yeah, R, how you doing? I've gotten so many ads for those cons. She mentioned, yeah. Yeah, it was Big Brother's watching, but yeah, man. It was just like, she was so nice in giving us like all of these horror conventions to go to. And, you know, both of us weren't used to horror conventions. We didn't really know like how many horror conventions there were. So like, it was really cool for her to like be saying that and like giving us that list and everything. Anyways, we got right in. You know, we had a bit of a group with us that first day. There were some people we knew that got single day passes and went with us on Friday, but immediately we kind of got split off. Like, we beelined for the autographs, which was in the vendor hall. And we went straight away to Matthew Lillard because, again, we were pretty sure that either Matthew Lillard or David Arquette were probably going to have the biggest lines. And what do you know? That was right, because we went straight to Matthew Lillard and they said that they cut off his line. They were not accepting anyone else for the rest of the night. And so immediately our hopes of getting autographs for the first night was dashed. And don't worry, that's not the first time our hopes of getting autographs are dashed. But more on that in a bit. So, we couldn't get Matthew Lillard stuff, but we got like kind of an understanding of the system that they were running at the convention, in that they had these tickets, and if the line ever got too full, they would hand you those tickets, which were called like the virtual passes, and the tickets had numbers on them. And periodically throughout the whole event, they would be like, hey, if you have ticket numbers for this through this, go ahead and get in line for that person. So we got explained how that worked that first night. Simple. So next, David Arquette's line was right by Matthew Lillard's. So we immediately went to David Arquette's because that was my big guy. And they handed me a ticket, and they were like straight up, we don't know if they're gonna call anyone else tonight. You know, you get the ticket, but you know, we don't really know if they're gonna call anyone. So, don't count on it, is basically what they told me. So, okay. That's fine. Not really expecting much. And so both of us, our hopes kind of got dashed of getting autographs that first night. Not a big deal. We'll just go in the second night. It's cool. Or second day. We're there all day on Saturday. But that's fine. So we decide, you know, next up, we're going to get the lay of the land. So we walk around the convention looking at everyone that's there, fangirling out of it because, you know, there's a lot of cool people there. If I had $1 for every time they said nothing is guaranteed, I swear. Oh, that's right. I heard that line so many times throughout that convention. We'd go anywhere and be like, hey, can we do this? And they'd be like, oh, nothing's guaranteed. Like, okay, thanks. It was so many places. Okay. But anyways, there was a lot of cool people there. And so the first signature that we actually got was from Joe Dante. Because there wasn't like a huge crowd around that one. Not to say there weren't people there. There definitely were. But we noticed there wasn't a huge crowd. And, you know, it's that first day. So the convention is, you know, there's a lot of people there. But generally, like the first day is not where the huge crowd is. That's not always true, but generally like that That's the thing. It's usually the second day. Like, that Saturday is usually the day where everyone wants to be there. But yeah, we saw Joe Dante. We got in line. My friend got an autograph, and I decided to go for the picture. And yeah, he was nice. He didn't really say much. I think he was really tired that first night, because like he didn't really say much. So, but yeah, that was pretty cool. We got our picture with Joe Dante. My friend got an autograph. She drew a picture for him. The picture was really cool. It had a big werewolf. I keep wanting to say that it's the werewolf from The Howling, but I don't want... there was a lot of werewolf things there, okay? There were a lot of werewolf things there, and I've lost track of all the werewolf movies that I saw referenced there. And... oh man, it was The Howling. Oh god, oh thank god. I was like, oh man, I'm about to say The Howling, and suddenly I'm not sure if I got that right. He was supposed to be like snatching Gizmo. Yeah, because R also drew Gizmo from Gremlins as well. Yeah, man. When I said that this convention, that, like, I really thought it was themed for the two guys from American Werewolf in London, like, when I tell you how much werewolf theming there was throughout this convention, it was everywhere. It was really cool. And suddenly I became painfully aware of that I had not seen a lot of werewolf movies, and I had so many references shot out at me, and now I'm trying to catch up on all of these werewolf movies. I have a whole list formed. So, anyways, but yeah, we got to see Joe Dante. That was really cool. And then our group really split off. Me and R checked out the vendor hall and love werewolf movies. I need to watch so much more of them. I like them too, from the ones I've seen. But, like, I haven't seen, like, any of, like, the big ones. Like, American Werewolf in London? How have I not seen that? Like, that's just one that I see every horror fan saying that they need to watch. And somehow I haven't watched it. The Howling is also, like, I'm really surprised I haven't seen that one. I really need to watch that one. Anyways. So, after Joe Dante, I can't remember a whole lot of what we did, because I'm gonna be honest, I got a little tipsy. Not drunk, I just got kind of tipsy there, and things started blurring together a bit more. That first night was a lot of fun. I did write down some stuff that I really wanted to touch up on. Yeah, a lot of the things I wrote down for Friday are just no panels, frowny face. Yeah, we just chilled. Yeah. It was really just us walking around, finding out where everything was, and just relaxing that first night. You know, I will say, I forgot to point this out earlier, and I do think it was a cool note to touch up on. The night before we went to the con that Thursday, we decided that we were going to watch a horror movie. And we decided to watch Five Nights at Freddy's, which was really cool in retrospect, immediately seeing Matthew Lillard at the convention. Like, that was really cool. And the other two that were with us, you know, they also, you know, they hadn't seen Scream, I don't think, and they didn't really know who Matthew Lillard was. And so when we immediately, you know, got there and they had just watched Five Nights at Freddy's, they were like, oh my god. We just saw this guy. So that was really cool. I think that was just, you know, genius IQ of R to decide to watch that. Ah, I dropped my pencil. How am I supposed to take notes without that? Okay, pencil gotten. Saved. All right. So, let's see. What were my other notes for that night? Nice ticket lady. Werewolf theme. Beelining. No Matthew Lillard or David Arquette frowny face. My personal favorite note. Yep, I already explained the ticket system, so I guess most everything is already said. I did take more pictures of cosplays that first night. There was a lot of really creative cosplays. We danced with Springtrap. We did dance with Springtrap, but I will get to that in a second. That's the dance. I am gonna, like, get to the dance, but, like, I guess just so you guys know the layout of this building, you know, first floor, where most of the signatures are, where the vendors are, you know, that's usually where we were spending a lot of our time. Second floor, they had this nice cafe, which whenever we were just, like, conned out or tired, we would go to that cafe. It was a really nice one. And they had Starbucks, which for me is a necessity. And then on the third floor is where a lot of the parties would happen. They had a lot of, like, late night parties, and they were on the third floor. But most funny is that on the third floor, they had the two Lost Boys actors, Jason Patrick and Billy Wirth, and Juliette Lewis, all stranded on the third floor. So if you wanted to get signatures from them, you actually had to get tickets ahead of time. So those virtual tickets I was talking about earlier, you had to get those first. And then go to the third floor at your called time to talk to one of those actors. And that one was kind of weird for me. Love Lost Boys, same. Lost Boys is great. Yeah, that one was kind of weird for me, and because of the way it worked and how confusing it was, I gave up really, really early on trying to get either one of their signatures. I was just kind of like, I don't think it's gonna happen. Especially since we were, like, kind of hyper-focused on getting David Arquette and Matthew Lillard's signatures. I kind of gave up thinking that I was going to be able to get one of their signatures. So, yeah, it was just kind of a weird system, isolating the Lost Boys and Juliette Lewis on the third floor. Not really sure what the thought process was around that. You know, not saying it didn't work or anything from convention staff or anything. I just personally did not understand. Anyways, that was all that was on the third floor. And then the fourth floor, we had the big Alamo Draft House. That's where, like, you know, they would have, like, the big panels or movie screenings all would be there. And then at the far end, they had photo ops. And keep that in mind. That's a special thing that will come back later. Just remember that there are photo ops at this convention. It is important for one aspect of this story. So, that is our layout of the convention. 4 floors, a lot of moving around to get from place to place, but, you know, altogether, pretty nice systems that they had going on. So, that being said, Friday, because we couldn't get any of the signings we wanted and we were trying to, like, figure out a lot of things, it was mostly chill. We didn't do a whole lot. We just kind of, you know, walked around, found out where everything was, and then after the sun went down, we went to the dance party, which was, like, I would say the main thing for Friday. That was kind of the main event. You know, it was what you'd expect from a usual cons dance party. A lot of people in cosplay and out of cosplay, dancing around on the dance floor, doing some fascinating moves because very few people can actually dance. I was one of those people that can't dance. Out on the dance floor, making a fool of myself. You know, not quite drunk, but nearly there. So what you can imagine there? Same, yeah. Both of us were certainly making a spectacle of ourselves. Liquid courage all the way, agreed. So, we were having a lot of fun. Like, I was having a blast there, and they had the costume contest there as well. Which I would say was kind of the highlight of the night. There was a lot of really, really good cosplay. There was this guy that dressed up as, like, is it the Shadow from Over the Garden Wall? but like he was on stilts. It was an incredible cosplay. He did not make the finalists, which I was honestly surprised by, but I thought that cosplay was really good. And there was a couple dressed as The Shining, where like the guy literally was carrying around like this small door frame and had his head sticking through it. And he was carrying like a little hatchet. And his wife was dressed up, and it was just really good, like, all together. Like, that was, like, high points for creativity on that one. That was incredible. We had a lady dressed up as a character from The Birds, like, mid-attack, which was also very fun. There was a guy dressed up as the miner from My Bloody Valentine, which I never see. So that was really fascinating. The standouts, you know, we had Springtrap, who did a really, really good job on his cosplay. He was one of the finalists. One of the ones we danced with, you know, during that whole drunken dance night, I yelled out at Springtrap going like, yeah, Springtrap! And he started dancing with us. And like, I think someone in our group took a video of, you know, me and R just dancing with Springtrap. It was fun. Definitely one of the things I'm gonna remember. And then the people that won the costume contest were dressed as 3 of the main characters from American Werewolf in London. Really good cosplay. You know, it was a throuple cosplay, so they had 3 people dressed, and like it was just an amazing cosplay all around. Like, hats off to all of the cosplayers. They did a really good job. You know, there wasn't one cosplay in that contest that I was disappointed by or thought was bad. Like, everyone did such a wonderful job. And in general, cosplaying at conventions takes a lot of courage. So, like, I applaud all of you that I saw. You know, there was some really amazing cosplays. A lot of ghost faces. I can understand why. We had some pretty big Scream actors there, which I will get into in a second. I have that on the list, but that is day 2. But I think we are ending day 1. I'm gonna look at my notes real fast. Yeah, I guess just one more like little reference there. There was one guy that was walking around dressed as, I can't remember his name. He's the main villain of Halloween 3, the Irish mask maker. Yeah, there was a guy walking around that was dressed as him, carrying 3 masks, and like, hats off to that guy. That reference is so obscure, and he looked fantastic in it. Like, A plus cosplay. Yeah, so that's about it, I think, for the cosplays that I'm remembering off the top of my head. There's a lot of really good ones. They had people from Dark Hour Haunted House. I've never been. That's a haunted house somewhere in Texas. I don't really know, but you know, professional year-round haunted house, and they had like 2 werewolves that were from there, and like they were on stilts. They were walking around trying to get people into the event, and like they were incredible. Very, very, very good costumes. You know, they were very fun and talking with people. And then they also were having photo shoots for Dark Hour, where they would have people in like really cool costumes kind of hanging out, and you could just go up and take free photos with them. There was one guy dressed up as like this green mutant spider or whatever from Dark Hour, and when we were eating lunch at one point, he ran up to us and tried to steal food. It was funny. So yeah, shout out to them. They had some amazing costumes and were really cool the entire convention. Yeah, I think that's it for the first night there. A lot happened that first night. Even though, like, you know, we just chilled out a lot that first night, there was just a lot of things to talk about. A lot of good cosplays, a lot of good events that happened. Yeah, it was a blast. Anyway, so that second day, We get back to our hotel. We're immediately tired. We go to bed. That second day, we wake up fairly early because we want to get there really soon so we can beeline straight for David Arquette and Matthew Lillard. This is the plan. We're holding on to it really strong. Spoiler alert, that plan did not pan out, but that was the plan. So we get there and, we get in line, ready to make it to the event, and it was the wrong line. So, we get out of that line and into another line, and that was also the wrong line. But we get out of that one and then notice a line stacked all the way around the entire building and serpentining out into the streets. That was the correct line, unfortunately. So we got in there, and then we had to wait an hour to be able to go in. And, that I'd say is probably the worst experience out of this convention. But it's also the most expected. If you go to a convention, there's lines to get into places. Your worst line at a convention is probably going to be waiting to get into the convention. If you're at an anime convention, my experience with bad lines is usually getting my badge. That takes the longest whenever I'm at a convention. But at the horror convention, it wasn't getting the badge, it was getting inside that always took the longest. But yeah, we finally were able to get in. It was around 11, which was the time we were allowed in. We weren't allowed in earlier. It was VIPs got in at 10, everyone else got in at 11. So we get in, we beeline immediately to Matthew Lillard. And man, I've been talking about this whole place being a horror convention. This was the first time I ever felt scared. Because that line for Matthew Lillard stretched out so far and was just so chaotic that most of the time I could not tell you what was an actual line and what were just people walking. It was so chaotic and there was no direction, and so many times we would get in line and wait, and then suddenly someone would yell that Matthew Lillard's line, got capped, and so you had to leave, and everyone would just scatter, and then a new line would immediately form. And it was just so confusing. No one knew what was going on. And, we were there for so long just trying to figure out what the heck was going on. And I don't blame any of the staff for this. I don't blame Matthew Lillard, obviously. I don't blame anyone for, what was happening there. It was just, a lot of people really wanted to see Matthew Lillard, and I understand. And it was just chaotic. And so, once again, our hopes got dashed for seeing Matthew Lillard. And worry was starting to set in. And so, again, immediately, I get in line for David Arquette. And I'm given a ticket. And they're like, you're one of the first. He should call people after 1 o'clock. You're okay. So I was like, okay, cool. So at the very least, I'll be able to get a signing from David Arquette. Nothing to worry about there. And so I go to an ATM, I pull out money in order to be able, because a lot of these places are cash only. So I pull out money to be able to see David Arquette, and we go on our way. And around this point, we decided that we were going to check out Matthew Lillard again. Wow, I can't speak all of a sudden. Just to see if maybe there's a possibility we can still get a ticket. And as it turns out, we can, but it got capped again. But the guy told us, come back in 30 minutes and we're gonna give out more. So we kept that in the back of our mind and we went to eat lunch. There was a lot of food trucks outside. So, we stopped by one of there, and R separated with me from a little bit at this point, because she really wanted to be able to see if she could get the Matthew Lillard ticket. So we both kind of did our own thing for a little bit. Nothing really noteworthy happened. She was able to actually get tickets this time. She got one for me as well, bless. And we had lunch. That time was relaxing, but At noon, officially, the Scream Q&A panel started. And this is where things get really fun. So, to note here, and I really wish I had put everyone's name down, because now comes the point in the show where I have to try and remember everyone's name. So I've already told you 2 of the actors that were there. We have David Arquette and we have Matthew Lillard. If you haven't watched Scream yet, do so. I'm about to spoil some things. So either you're going to be okay with being spoiled, or, you know, you've watched Scream at this point, okay? I've given my warnings. You know, okay. That's it. 3, 2, 1. I'm gonna spoil everything here. 3, 2, 1. So Matthew Lillard is one of the killers in Scream. He's one of the duo that makes up Ghostface. And so obviously he was going to be there. And David Arquette plays Dewey, who is a very big character in the Scream movies as well. And then on top of that, we had Skeet Ulrich, who plays, again, spoiling Scream, Skeet Ulrich, who plays the other Ghostface, the other pair in that movie, because Ghostface is 2 people. We have Matthew Lillard and Skeet Ulrich both there. We also had Neve Campbell, who plays Sydney, our main character of Scream. We had, okay, I'm gonna try to remember the names. So Ghostface voice actor was there. No, you ruined it for me. You already knew. I knew you already knew. I know for a fact you already knew. You talked about Scream with me the other day. Yeah, Jamie Kennedy and Roger L. Jackson and Kevin Durand. Thank you. Yeah. So, Roger L. Jackson, for anyone curious about him, you might have heard his name before. Roger L. Jackson is the voice actor for Ghostface. He also is the voice actor of Mojo Jojo in Powerpuff Girls. For anyone that used to watch that like me, that was quite the revelation when I was there. Hell yeah. Let's see. I'm just making sure that, like, I'm getting everyone's roles right. If I remember right, Jamie Kennedy plays the guy that worked at the movie store, but, like, I don't want to accidentally get him mixed up with Kevin because I'm really bad with names and I can just jumble them around. So I'm just looking that up real fast to make sure that I'm not, like, completely messing that up. Yes, he's Randy. Oh, thank God. Oh, thank God, I'm right about that. Kevin is the stuntman. Oh, thank God. I got everyone correct. Okay. Yeah, so yes, we had Jamie Kennedy, who Jamie played Roger, who was the guy that worked at the video store, another great character from Scream, and we had Kevin Durand, who played the stunt work for Ghostface. And so, to put this in perspective, we had all 4 actors that played Ghostface on the original Scream movie here. This is huge, because they were even saying they've never had all 4 together. And so this was a really exciting Scream panel to be at. And they definitely had a lot of fun with it. Like, the announcer, who unfortunately I did not get the name of, he was at a lot of events, and he was really great. I'm just really bad with names, and during the Scream panel, I was, like, freaking out a little bit, because you gotta remember, up until this point, I was supposed to meet David Arquette, but I had not seen him yet. And so this was gonna be my first time seeing David Arquette, in real life, outside of the movies outside of interviews. I'm a huge fan of David Arquette. I was really excited. And so most things that the announcer was saying just completely left my mind at this moment. I was freaking out. Yeah, it was a super neat experience. And so what I do remember, though, is that the announcer starts speaking, and, you know, he's just talking to the crowd going like, hey, guys, you know, this is going to be like one of our bigger panels tonight. We have a lot of people from Scream that are going to be here, and so we need to fill out every chair. There's a lot of people. And for those that don't know, Matthew Lillard, people who have never been to a Matthew Lillard panel, Matthew Lillard has a habit of going rogue. Matthew Lillard will oftentimes leave the stage, go into the audience, start taking questions himself. So, oh man, gotta remember to keep drinking water. My throat keeps going dry. Oh man. So yeah. They were warning us about that, like, really early on. Like, Matthew Lillard has a tendency to go rogue. So, when he leaves the stage, he was saying that he thinks it would be really fun if we all yell something out. And so, you know, there was, like, some pretty generic ones of, like, oh, yeah, we're just gonna cheer and stuff. But then one person said, what if we all yell zoinks when he comes off? Because, you know, he plays Shaggy. He plays Shaggy in Scooby-Doo. So they're like, what if we just all scream zoinks at him when he leaves the stage? And everyone voted on it. And we were all so excited for it to happen. And guess what? Matthew Lillard never left the damn stage. It was the one panel that Matthew Lillard did not go rogue. And so, like, there was something very comedic about that. I felt like he knew. Yeah. They were probably listening. But, like, yeah, it was the one panel he didn't go rogue at. So, that was sad. That was kind of sad. I was getting really excited for, like, the whole crowd to scream zoinks and freak him out. But it didn't happen. So, anyways, the Scream panel starts. They're announcing everyone onto the stage. I think the first is Nev, then David, and then it was either Jamie or Matthew. I can't remember. But, you know, most of the ghost faces, they, like, announced all at once. And Matthew stood on the table at one point when everyone was being announced. It was great. It was fun. And then they announce Kevin last. And this was really cool. Kevin was actually in the crowd dressed as a ghost face. So when they announced him, he got up and walked towards the stage dressed fully as Ghostface, doing his little, like, march down to the stage. That was so cool. So yeah, he was dressed up almost the entire time. He did have the mask off, but, like, yeah, he was Ghostface. So I can't remember a whole lot. There were some really good questions on the Scream Q&A. I don't want to get into a whole lot of them because I know for a fact that they recorded it, and, you know, I want Texas Frightmare to get, like, all of that traffic. So if you're curious about a lot of what happened there, you know, Texas Frightmare should have it up pretty soon. And yeah, that whole panel should be up on their YouTube channel, I believe. But some highlights from that. Someone asked everyone what they thought their clown names would be. And David Arquette just, like, was giggling so much at that. Because, like, he actually was a clown. Bozo. And he just, like, they asked him and he was just like, I'd be Bozo. It was just so funny. He sounded like such a kid. It was great. And they all actually answered that question, like, saying what their clown names would be. One person asked Roger L. Jackson if they did anything to his voice or if he had like any specific direction to his voice, to which he said no, and he started doing the voice and actually like did the whole like what's your favorite scary movie routine from the beginning of Scream, and that was really cool. Whole crowd went crazy. You know, they put the Scream movie poster up and said that it was pretty revolutionary at the time to have like this horror movie poster and put every young, attractive teenager in on the poster, to which Matthew Lillard said, "How dare you," because he's not on the poster. And was like calling me ugly. Like that was hilarious. Yeah, there was just a lot of good questions. It was a lot of fun. Like I said, I'm gonna kind of leave out some of the panel talk because we could be here all day. It's already been 1 hour and 30 minutes. I gotta cut something, so. The panels are recorded though. You should be able to go and watch those. So yeah, Scream panel, definitely worth it. That was a lot of fun. So at this time we get out of the panel and we've been waiting a while, and I haven't gotten called for David yet. I haven't gotten my ticket called for David Arquette, and it's been a couple of hours. And at this point, we're starting to get a little worried, and we go back to the vendor room, and we notice Matthew and David aren't there. And, you know, if we would have paid closer attention, we would have noticed that some of the other Screamcast weren't there as well. But we weren't. We admittedly weren't paying close attention, and we're freaking out a little bit because, again, these two are the ones that we were really trying to see. And suddenly, the idea is dawning on us that we might not be able to, and the panic we felt was very real. So at this point, you know, we're kind of thinking like maybe something had happened, that like David Arquette and Matthew Lillard aren't showing back up. And we were worried that like some emergency might have even happened because we weren't seeing them. And so we go back up, and because we have another panel that we're going to, they're having the Lost Boys panel, which if you remember, Lost Boys is one of my favorite horror movies. Very special movie to me. And so I was really looking forward to the Lost Boys panel. And even if they were to call my ticket for David Arquette at that moment, like, to me, who had already given up on seeing Jason Patric and Billy Wirth, to me, like, this was my only chance to see them. So I really wanted to go to this panel. So we went up and we waited over there, and then we noticed it. The photo op line. And then we realized David Arquette and Matthew Lillard and all of the Scream cast were getting photo ops with people that had scheduled them, because that was something you could do. And it occurred to us in that moment, again, second day of the convention, for like the 4th time that day, it occurred to us that we were not going to get our signings that day. Again, nobody's fault, not mad at anyone, but just we lost hope that day that we would get our signings. And that's just kind of a, yeah, what can you do? You know, there's not a whole lot. Other people signed up for this. I'm not mad at anyone. It was just poor planning, if anything, on our part, so yeah. Fourth time though at the convention, we lost hope in getting signatures from the people we wanted to get signatures from the most. And honestly, for me, at this point, I had just straight up given up. I was positive that I was not going to get a signature from David Arquette. So I started running backup plans. The panic was real because I wanted signatures from someone. And so I started thinking, man, you know, I took this money out. I really want to get signatures. There's a lot of cool people here. I just need to see some of the other actors, see all who's here, and just enjoy my time, because I'm probably not going to get tickets from David Arquette. or Matthew Lillard for that matter. I was just thinking, like, I don't really know if it's gonna happen. Sorry, water break for a second. My throat's getting a little dry. Okay. So, we finally go into the Lost Boys Q&A, which was a lot of fun. Again, this was my first time seeing Jason Patric and Billy Wirth, that I recognize them outside of Lost Boys. Funny enough, I have seen both of them in other movies, but it just never occurred to me that they were, you know, Jason Patric and Billy Wirth. For whatever reason. So when I saw them, and I was just like, oh wait. Yeah, it was quite the experience going, like, you know, pointing out like that Spider-Man meme of like, oh, it's you. Like, I can't believe that, like, I didn't recognize them from other things, but my mind was so set on Lost Boys, I guess. And again, Lost Boys is such a special movie to me. Like, I was so fixated on that. And for whatever reason, the convention used the pictures from the Lost Boys movie for these actors. And mind you, both of those actors, I think, played in Lost Boys when they were about 19. And, you know, that was in 1980... 7 to 9. I can't fully remember what year it came out. But you know, quite a while ago. So they look significantly different than how they did back then. They still both look good, just significantly different. So it was quite the experience seeing them again. That panel was also a whole lot of fun. You know, both of them seem like, you know, they loved filming Lost Boys, and they both, like, had a very good attitude to the fans and everything. And again, I won't get too in depth on the panels themselves. If you are curious about that, please check out the official channels from the convention. But some highlights again. Billy Wirth, when he came out, filmed the crowd. He had his camera, like, filming it and stuff. And that was a lot of fun. He also said the "you miss sucker" line, which was, that was a lot of fun as well. Jason Patric does not like the idea of any remake happening to Lost Boys, which, like, I think is fair. I think Lost Boys is a movie that does not have to be remade. I think the original is perfect the way it is. And I honestly wouldn't want to see it being remade. Like, you know, remakes can be good. I'm not saying that, you know, remakes are never good. There are good remakes. I mean, John Carpenter's The Thing is a movie I really like. And that is a remake, I believe. But, like, also Invasion of the Body Snatchers has a good remake. Like, there are good remakes. I'm not dissing remakes, but at the same time, I don't want to see another Lost Boys. I love the original Lost Boys. And, you know, I want it to stay that way. You know, it's perfect in my head. I don't want anyone else to play any of the characters. So, I agree with him there. I definitely agree with that idea. Anyways, yeah, I'm not going to say anything else about the panels. If you guys are curious, they do have those panels. Both of them are worth checking out. They're a lot of fun. They do a lot of good behind the scenes, where they talk about, like, cool things that happened. So, highly recommend checking that out. It's a classic, definitely a classic. Anyways, so we get back to the vendors, and we kind of split up at this point because, you know, me and R kind of split up because there's a couple of things going on. We stayed in the vendor room. It was just, there was a lot of people. It was hard to kind of stay together. So there was multiple times that we kind of split up. R got some posters that were really, really cool. She got this American Werewolf poster that, like, was amazing. That artist was incredible. I want to give him a shout out, but I don't know his handles. R might have to send me those if she still has them. But yeah, they were incredible. Amazing artist. And he gave a lot of like freebies with his. So like, yeah, if I find him, I'll shout him out. But yeah, she got an American Werewolf poster from him. And then like when she was buying pins, she bought me a David pin from from Lost Boys. And so like I was freaking out about that. For a little context too. I was actually thinking about cosplaying as a gender bent David from Lost Boys. Like, I was going to do, like, the greased back hair and wear, like, the heavy jacket and gloves and stuff, and then carry around my purse as, like, a Chinese takeout. And, like, I was planning on doing it. I thought it was going to be a whole lot of fun. But I couldn't get everything together in time for it, so I ended up not going with that idea. Speaking of cosplay, the second day of this event, I actually cosplayed as Angela from Sleepaway Camp. It was just a simple cosplay that I could throw together. You know, I have the stuff for it, so all I need is the, you know, shirt, my Camp Arawak shirt. Hopefully I'm saying that right, and I'm not saying like the second movie or anything, because they changed the camps in each movie. Now that I'm thinking about it. So hopefully I'm not saying, like, the second camp or anything. Or worse yet, I'm saying, like, a camp from a different horror movie. Like, I'm accidentally saying Friday the 13th, the 13th camp or something. That would be embarrassing. After I just claimed that Sleepaway Camp was one of my favorite movies. But, yep. I dressed as Angela from Sleepaway Camp. I had my shirt and, you know, just typical gym shorts and everything. Very simple cosplay. Wore my hair messy. So this gets a little interesting. This is where the story kind of changes. So, we stopped by this one, area, this one vendor who was selling like some really cool things. There was a lot of action figures, and I think they were an official studio. Because there was a few studios, like movie studios, that were there. They were, like, sponsoring the event, and so they had booths that were set up. And, you know, R bought, like, quite a few things there that were, like, really cool. But I noticed when we were checking out that they had puzzles. And they had puzzles of, like, movie posters. And my mom is a really big fan of puzzles. Like, I used to work them with her quite a bit. So when I was looking around at the puzzles, I noticed they had a Lost Boys puzzle. And I was like, oh my god, this is perfect. Because my mom has been gone for a while. Like, I haven't seen her in a little while. Nothing bad. She's just been, you know, out traveling. We live apart. You know, it just happens that I haven't seen her in a bit. And I haven't seen her for Mother's Day or her birthday. And, you know, I feel kind of sad about that. Like, I want to see my mom. I love my mom. But I haven't been able to see her. So when I saw the puzzle, I'm like, oh, this is great. You know, she loves Lost Boys. Lost Boys is a movie that we both share together as being like, you know, a special movie for us. And again, she showed me Lost Boys. So I bought her the puzzle thinking this is going to be a perfect present for her. And about an hour later, after we finish with our, you know, little excursion there, around the vendor area, you know, we eat at the cafe for a little while, and then we go downstairs, and it's about the last hour that the vendor area is open, and we're trying to debate what we're going to do afterwards, because they kind of did a interesting thing here, where the vendor area closed at 7, and the cafe closed at 7, but they had another event happening at 9. But there wasn't really much going on in between that. There was a movie showing, but if you didn't want to go to the movie showing, there just wasn't anything to do. And like, that was kind of weird. I hadn't really been to a convention where that happened before, but it wasn't bad. I just thought that was kind of weird. But we had some free time to kill, and like when the vendors shut down, we were kind of debating what we were gonna do. So it's the last hour. And we're looking around, And suddenly there's an announcement that comes on the speakers saying that Jason Patrick and Billy Wirth have moved downstairs. And if you guys remember me saying earlier, when I was talking about the layout of this building, both the Lost Boys, Jason Patrick and Billy Wirth, were confined to the 3rd floor, and you had to buy tickets in advance to see either of them. For that note, Juliette Lewis was also up there, but she didn't move down. I think she stayed there. But, and like I say buy tickets in advance, you don't buy tickets for these things. They just give you the tickets. So like you get the tickets ahead of time and then you can come later. But because it was kind of confusing and I wasn't sure where to go in anything, I just kind of gave up on seeing them. But now both of them are downstairs. So immediately I'm like, oh my God, wait, does that mean do I still have to have tickets in advance to see them? And so I walked up and like, you can see where both of them are now. They're like right in front and like they have a little bit of a line, but nothing bad. And so I walk up and I'm like, are we allowed to see them? And the guy was just like, Jason Patrick or Billy Wirth. And I was like, Jason Patrick? Because Jason Patrick plays the main character of Lost Boys. He plays Michael. And Billy Wirth plays one of the gang vampires. He has a really, really cool role. One of the best, I'm about to spoil Lost Boys. I'm going to spoil it in 3 seconds. So, if you're getting past this part, you either don't care that I'm going to spoil Lost Boys or you have seen it already. Okay? 3, 2, 1. So Billy Wirth in that movie has one of the best death scenes I have ever seen in a horror movie. He has the famous death by stereo death, and it is iconic. But, you know, at that moment, I was like, all right, I'm going to get Jason Patrick's signature because, you know, he's the main character of the movie. So, you know, immediately when they're just like, yeah, just go ahead and get in line, I panic because I only took out money for David Arquette earlier, and Jason Patrick's line is a little more expensive than that. So I'm trying to scrounge up money as fast as I can, and R, who met me over there, was like, oh no, I've got you. And she pulled out the rest, like true MVP of the night. And, you know, I was able to meet Jason Patrick, and like, he was incredible. He was very, very nice. I hadn't prepared myself. I'm a shy person naturally. I know I come on here and just start talking up a storm and I don't shut up, but you know, I'm streaming. I kind of train myself not to stop talking. But, you know, in real life, I surprisingly don't talk like this. I don't just go off for hours. But, you know, I had to prepare myself a lot of times mentally for certain things. And, you know, talking to a person that I grew up watching and had only seen on TV, you know, that was something that I needed to prepare myself for. And I did not have any time to prepare myself at all. It was just, you know, suddenly within 2 minutes of me asking if it was okay, like if I could actually talk to Jason Patrick, I was in front of him. And I was freaking out. Like, I don't remember all of what I said. I was just immediately, like, completely overwhelmed. You did great. He was super sweet. Yeah, he was. He was so sweet. Like, immediately, I think I said something like, sorry, I'm starstruck, and then was immediately like, why did I say that? And he just held out his hand and was just like, hey, what's your name? And like, you know, it was just very nice. And I told him how much the movie meant to me, how my mom showed me this movie, you know, that, you know, this was a movie that, like, I remember so dearly. And, you know, he was very humble, very sweet about it. And I gave him the puzzle box that I'm giving to my mom. I gave it to him to sign, and he signed it. He signed "Vampire Moms Are the Best," and you know, signed his name and then Michael under it, and it was so sweet. Are you streaming? Yep, I'm streaming. Hey, Yuji, welcome in. This is a just chatting stream. I'm talking about the convention I was at over the weekend. Sorry for being late. No, you're good. No worries. Yeah, it was so sweet. And so I had him sign that for my mom. And, you know, I gave it to her when I got back from the convention. And that's just something I'm always going to remember. You know, Jason Patrick signed the Lost Boys puzzle, and I was able to give that to my mom. You know, that's, you know, I think of that movie so fondly. And I think of my mom when I think of that movie because we used to watch it all the time together. And so, you know, being able to get his signature and give it to my mom, like, it was so nice. Embarrassingly there, I started tearing up while I was talking to him because, you know, I was a little overwhelmed. You know, it was a little scary. But, you know, I'm really glad that I did that. Is Coffee Chat the name of the game or is it actual chat stream? It's just a chat stream. No game today. I'm just chatting. It's called Coffee Chat because I like to drink coffee. And I wanted this to be like we're at a cafe and talking together, you know, we're friends hanging out kind of thing. So, I also just like this cafe background that I found. I put all the links to, what I'm using right now in the description. So if you want to check them out, go ahead. Did you bring the most important person in this world? Who would be the most important person in this world? R was there. Oliver, I see. Oliver got kicked out a little earlier. Unfortunately, because I was traveling pretty far, Oliver had to stay at home. I had one of my parents actually watched him. Actually, I was about to say one of my friends, but it was my parents that watched him. So we got to spend the weekend with the grandparents. She threw him out. I didn't. Well, I mean, he's out of this stream, but I didn't throw him. He usually just follows me if I, you know, walk out to the stairs because he wants to follow me everywhere. Somehow that's sadder, actually, now that I'm talking about it. How dare thou? Listen. You know, earlier, he threatened me. He tried to turn off my computer. You don't understand what kind of pressure I was under. He had to go. The stream was at risk. Oh, man. But yeah, so that basically ended the day. Well, no, it didn't. That mostly ended the day with the con. Getting Jason Patrick's signature, meeting him was really cool. I wanted to get Billy Wirth's too, but I just, after Jason Patrick, I didn't have the money. Again, all of these were cash only, and I didn't even withdraw all the money for Jason Patrick. My friend R really came in clutch for me and helped me out with paying for the rest of it. But at that time, like, I didn't have the money to be able to, you know, go and see Billy Wirth as well. Would have loved to get his signature and have him write, like, "You miss sucker" on it or something. That would have been so much fun. My sweet and loved Oliver, the only time he had the brain cell, he uses it for evil. That's just it with Oliver. He's chaotic. There's no telling what he'll be up to. You know, he's super sweet, super nice, but he chooses chaos 90% of the time. You gotta watch it with him. Anyways. So, after this moment, after, you know, I had my sweet moment with Jason Patrick, I got to meet him, we left, the vendor hall closed, and we, you know, went back up to, I think, the 4th floor? Or the 3rd floor. And we just, we got concessions and we sat back and talked for a while. You know, me and R had nothing to really do at this point. Again, the convention kind of just closed down until 9 for some reason, so we had like 2 hours to kill. BTW, will Bear or Josh show up? Josh probably won't show up. He is going to be busy most weekdays. If he gets out of what he has to do earlier, then he might. But yeah, he sent me a warning a while ago that, like, he usually won't be showing up on weekdays now because he has like some stuff that he has to do for a little while. I miss Josh. I do too. I love having him around. He'll still join us on weekend streams though if he doesn't have plans. And then Space, you know, she had plans tonight, and so unless she finishes those early, I don't think she's gonna show up. And I don't think the stream is going to be around, you know, that much longer. I only have one more day to get through of this convention, and then I'm basically done for the night. I've been talking already for almost 2 hours. My throat is going to close up here in a little bit, and you guys are still going to need me to be talking for my Hollow Knight stream this weekend. BTW, that's not my neighbor, got an update. Do you intend on playing it? Of course! Yeah, I saw that the Nightmare mode got added. I'm definitely going to be playing it. I'll probably end up playing it next week for the Wednesday schedule. Next week, by the way, my schedule should be normal except for Monday. It's one of my best friend's birthdays on Monday, so I might have to skip Monday again. But I'd rather not skip our book club. So I might, instead of doing Monday, I might do Tuesday and then just do Tuesday, Wednesday. But still deciding on that, not set in stone. I will do all the updates on Twitter like always. And if I, you know, actually make a schedule this time, I'll post it on YouTube as well. Wish them a happy birthday for me? I will! Yeah. So, anyways, that's the schedule there. Where was I? Yeah, we were just waiting after the vendor hall closed. We were waiting around for the rest of the convention, which didn't start till 9, so we had 2 hours that we were just kind of hanging around. Again, I thought that was kind of weird, but it was okay. It wasn't anything bad. It gave us some time to kind of stretch out because we had done a lot of walking. So after we waited our 2 hours and I, you know, had to calm down from meeting Jason Patrick because I was, man, I was like, I was almost in tears. You gotta understand how overwhelmed I was. I was in tears, like, after meeting Jason Patrick. You know, only one of the actors I've seen from my childhood. Did I have fun? Yes, I had a lot of fun. In fact, this weekend was some of the most fun I've had in a long time. I'm not even to some of the most amazing parts yet. So, Jason Patrick, I'd say, was the first, like, big one. That was like, oh my god, I can't believe I got to do this. I can't believe I got to meet him. But, we're getting into that. So, after that, you know, the last part of that day happened, and that was karaoke. Not a whole lot to talk about with the karaoke stuff, because neither one of us sang. R and I, you know, again, not exactly the most outgoing people in real life. We were both kind of shy. So, we kind of, you know, sat on the sidelines, watched karaoke, and, you know, we were, turns out, dead tired, from the con, and so we actually ended up leaving early. But some fun things to point out. The Sanderson sisters from Hocus Pocus were there, and they sung I Put a Spell on You, which was great, but the karaoke machine gave out 3 times when they tried to sing, and we had to, like, wait for it to come back on. So that was kind of ironic that that played for the Sanderson sisters. And then, like, you know, a lot of heavy metal was played, which I love heavy metal, so I'm okay with that. But a lot of people can't sing heavy metal. And I don't blame them, because I can't either. But, like, yeah, it was fun. Because, you know, everyone in the room is singing along with you if you're doing karaoke. And so, like, you just have a bunch of people screaming out the heavy metal songs. It was a lot of fun. Let's see. Today I hung out with my friends. It was lots of fun. I'm glad. Aw. Sorry about the last part, though. Let's see. I'm trying to... yeah, I think that was about it for that day. Again, like, I was kind of, like, dead tired by the time we went into karaoke. So, at this point, it was a joke. Oh. I see. Okay, listen, when it comes to cues for, like, jokes and stuff, I'm not exactly the most observant, if you couldn't tell. I make jokes, but I can't read them very well, okay? Don't blame me. I tend to just, like, read everything very fast and take everything at face value. So don't blame me most of the time, okay? I embarrass myself frequently. Alright. Okay. Let's see. So, day 3. I actually hung out with my friends. We went to visit our old school. Oh, cool! It had milkshakes! Yay! Milkshakes are the best. So yeah. I think you should karaoke. I put a spell on you for us right now. No. I don't think I should do that. My throat is already, like, dying because I've been talking for nearly 2 hours straight. I need to make myself some more, lemon ginger tea before I attempt anything like that. Alright. So, day 3. Setting the stage. We're desperate. I think we're the most desperate we have been this entire convention. Because, again, the 2 people we wanted to see the most at this convention are David Arquette and Matthew Lillard. And we have been denied every chance we've tried at this convention. I'd love to see you singing. Maybe one day, but not today. Karaoke stream win, right? Alright. But yes. So the desperation was in today. My friend R wanted to see Matthew Lillard. I wanted to see David Arquette. And we were both so desperate because we had been denied every time. And remember, the day before, we actually got in right at the time we were supposed to. Our only problem was that we were at the back of the line. So, on the 3rd day, we woke up early. And we got in line early to where we were almost first. Are there going to be more chat streams since you got the background? Probably. This is just a free asset. It's not like a custom background or anything, but like I'm okay with using free assets and stuff. Eventually I'd like to have like a custom background that's like, you know, sea themed. But like, yeah, I can do more chat streams. I think they're fun. It's just, you know, I'm gonna have to be using some free assets for a while, which is not a problem. All the assets I'm using right now are really good, and I'm honestly surprised they're free. Because they're really nice. So again, if anyone is interested, I put everyone's name in the description for the assets I'm using. Go check them out. That includes the background music, the background for the chat, everything. Why not put chat streams on the last day of the week so we have to talk? So we have a lot to talk about. Maybe. I kind of have to rearrange my schedule depending on what I do. I really like playing games too. Like there's a lot of games that have come out recently that I really want to play. So every time I'm opening up a new stream, I'm like, oh, we should play this. And I kind of forget about doing chatting streams. But yeah, I definitely want to do more chatting streams. So we'll see. My only problem is that I do talk a lot, but I'm not sure if I'm interesting enough to be able to get away with doing chat streams once a week. I don't know if I'll be able to pull a bunch of stories out. But we'll see. We'll see. I don't see why we can't start doing more chat streams. Okay. So both me and R get there super early. We're first in line this time. So if we can't get, in those lines for David Arquette and Matthew Lillard, it's not our fault. We gave it our best shot. It's just, things don't always go your way. So why not at the end of the month? It's not a bad idea. I might do them a little more frequently, like maybe twice a month. We'll see. This stream was kind of an experiment to see if I could manage to do a stream without a game to back me up. And I think it's going pretty okay so far. So, yeah. I'll probably do these much more frequently. End of the month stream is not a bad idea for just chatting. That's actually a pretty good idea. Even if you don't manage it, there will most likely be more chances. Yep, definitely. And you could sing for us. Let's hold on there, Momster. Let's hold on there. I don't know about that one. I might wait a little bit for that, okay? Alright. So, front of the line, we get in. And we met some pretty cool people in that line, by the way. There were some just really nice people. I will say that at all the conventions I've been to, it feels like people were nicest at the horror convention. Which, yeah, I guess that tracks. But yeah, I've been to Comic-Cons, I've been to anime conventions, and for whatever reason, like, everyone was the nicest at the horror convention. Go figure. Anyways, so, we finally get in. We waited in line for 3 hours, by the way. So 3 hours later, we finally get in to the convention. And once we get in, we run straight in to try and get in line for Matthew Lillard and David Arquette. So we get to Matthew Lillard's line first. We get right there. And my friend manages to get her ticket. So we got the virtual ticket for that. And I go straight away to David Arquette's line to get the virtual ticket because I was sure, I was going to get ticketed for that too because, all weekend I've been getting ticketed and have been too late for any of my tickets to be called. So I get over there and the lady is just like, oh, you don't have to have a ticket. You can just go straight in line. And I lost it a bit. Not in a bad way. I mean that I was like, what? I can what? I can just get in line for David Arquette right now? I don't have to be ticketed? I can just go up? I'm allowed? And she was just like, yeah, no, he stayed late last night in order to get a lot of signings done so more people would have the opportunity to get in line today. So yeah, there's no wait, just go ahead. And so I was freaking out a bit. One, because I could meet David Arquette. And two, because I didn't go to an ATM and did not have the money to meet David Arquette. And so I was like, oh no, I'm gonna have to turn around. But my friend R came right up to me, she had finished with Matthew Lillard's line, and she walked right up and was just like, no, don't get out of line. You're not allowed to get out of line. Here's the money. Meet David Arquette. You've been trying all weekend, and by damned, you are going to meet David Arquette. And R truly is the MVP of the weekend. R is incredible. Amazing friend. And so she stood in line with me. We learned something great about this. I'm going to read chat real fast because I noticed a few people sent some stuff in. But yeah, I have a few things to note. But what games do you have in store for us for the next week? So obviously I plan on playing more Hollow Knight. That has been a weekly thing so far until I, beat the game. But yeah, Hollow Knight is a definite. And then I'm also thinking about, what we talked about with playing That's Not My Neighbor because it just got an update. And I don't know if anyone's looked at the view count for that, but the view count is really good compared to my average. Like, you know, I'm a very small streamer and I don't have like, you know, a very high view count on a lot of my videos. That's to be expected. But That's Not My Neighbor was one of the highest view counts I've ever had. And so what I'm getting now is that people want me to play this game. They want to see people play this game. It is like the end game right now. And like, you know, it's a fun game, so I'm okay with playing it more. So yeah, I'm definitely thinking about doing that. And of course, our book club meets on Monday where I read visual novels and we're still playing Our Life right now. Monsters So Misunderstood? Absolutely. And Our Rocks, definitely. You can finish off Deep Nest and then go to Royal Waterways. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. From what I heard, Deep Nest is kind of long, so we'll see how long it takes me. I try. I'm so glad you got to make it happen. Yeah, I am too. This was once in a lifetime thing. I didn't want Angie to miss it for anyone. Oh, you're too sweet. Yeah, R really, really is the MVP. Like, she was amazing all convention. I couldn't have asked for anyone better to go to the convention with. So, honestly, the most fun I have ever had at a convention. But, yeah, so we stood in line for David Arquette, and I was freaking out the entire time because I'm about to meet, you know, one of my favorite actors. Not even kidding. I am such a huge fan of David Arquette. And I'm about to meet him, and we get up there, and I picked out one of the stills at still shots with him in Scream 5, I believe, where he's holding up the mask. And we get up there, and I didn't know this, but he was wearing a cast the entire convention. He either sprained or broke his hand somewhere, and he was still signing. So, very nice. Never trust Millabelle. My final message. Better be careful before Bear or Josh come in. Watch him come in right this minute. It was nice knowing you, Yuji. Oh, man. But, yeah, and we get up there, and, you know, I tell him, like, how much, you know, Scream as a movie meant to me, how much Dewey's character meant to me, and I thanked him for the work he put into that character. And, you know, I got my picture with him, he thanked me for telling him, and I thanked him last time for, like, letting us do that and everything. And, yeah, and R also got to pose in the photo with me. They let her. And that's where we found out that we can piggyback off of each other to get these photos. Which was an important lesson to learn. If you're in line for these things, if you have friends in your group, you guys, unless you're trying to get an autograph, I think, you don't have to pay separately for the photos. You can take the photos together. Now, like, the actors are allowed to turn you away. They're within their rights to with that, but most of them are fine with this. You know, it's okay to take group photos and stuff. So from here on out, we had that in mind, and R had the ticket for the line for Matthew Lillard. I got to meet David Arquette, which I was over the moon for, and, you know, that was what I wanted to do this whole convention, so I was already on cloud 9. And so now, we were just waiting. Learned the lesson on the last day, basically. But we hadn't really done any other signatures besides Jason Patrick, and we were able to piggyback in that one. Like, he was okay with her being in the photo, but, you know, because that was our first one, we weren't really sure if that was just a him thing or if, like, everyone was okay with it. So, you know, we finished up with David Arquette. We were like, you know, we'll just walk around the last day. We were really excited. And so, you know, we had put a list together of all of our backup people if we couldn't see, like, David Arquette or Matthew Lillard, everyone else that we wanted to see. And so, because, you know, we got ticketed again for Matthew Lillard, we weren't sure if we'd see him. So we were hopeful, but we decided to start seeing our backups. And so first on that list was Dee Wallace, who, if you don't know, was the mom in E.T. She plays in The Howling as well, and she is the main character in Cujo. She has quite a few roles under her belt. Amazing woman. And we went to see her, and she was so incredibly nice. Like, so incredibly nice. When we were in line, she was talking to everyone. You know, she was making conversations with everyone. You know, there was a guy before us, and she was still including us in the conversation as well. You know, just very, very nice. She gave off cool aunt vibes, definitely. Like, it felt like I was talking to someone I've known for a while, rather than, you know, Dee Wallace, the actress. So that was such an incredible experience. And that was where, like, you know, R took the photo with her. Like, she paid to have the signing and the photo, and she went to take the photo with her, and, you know, she looked at me and she's like, oh, do you want to be in the photo too? And I'm like, oh, is that okay? And she just looked at me and she's just like, if any actor turns you away, like, she's like, no one's gonna turn you away, trust me. Like, she was very nice. And when we were just like, oh, we're just not sure, she was just like, no, they're not gonna turn you away. She was such a nice lady. And, like, before I left, I was like, man, it's such an honor to meet you. And she was just, like, very nice about it, you know. Absolutely. If you guys ever have the chance of meeting her at one of these conventions, definitely do it. She's such a nice woman. Next up on the list, let's see. I'm watching a gameplay about a game I used to play in my childhood, just to find out that I got the entire storyline sequence wrong. Oh no. I've done that before, actually. It happens to the best of us. Oh man. So after this, we're like, you know, we're both kind of over the moon. That was such a cool experience, and we're trying to debate on what to do next. And we go around to the vendors, and R goes back around to the vendor she was at before that I mentioned, where she got that really cool poster, excuse me. And she notices, you know, he has an entire catalog there of posters you could buy. Amazing art. I need to keep drinking water, my poor throat. Ah, man, remember to breathe, Angie. So, we look around at the posters that he's selling. This guy, again, has amazing art. If I can find the name, then I will, in fact, shout this guy out. I'll put it in the description. But he, you know, he had a bunch of posters for the movie Creepshow. And we got one that was in green because it was a really cool color combo. And we took that poster and we decided to get it signed by Tom Savini. So, because Tom Savini was there. And, you know, he's pretty cool, you know, does some really cool special effects, kind of was in the movie Creepshow. So, we were very, very excited about that. So we go up, you know, he doesn't have too long of a line. We only stood for a little bit, and we give the lady the poster that we planned on having signed, and she looks at it and she's like, oh, this is sick. This is sweet. This poster is awesome. And we were just like, yeah, isn't it? And she just casually turns to Tom Savini and is just like, look at how cool this poster is. And so he takes it and he's just like, oh yeah, that's sick. That's awesome. And it was just like, oh yes, Tom Savini is just casually looking at this poster. It was so surreal being able to see these guys. Think about someone that fought one of the final bosses before getting the weapon recommended for it. The artist's name is Stephen LaRose Holiday. I see. He actually has the Creepshow print available on his Etsy. Cool. So if you guys want to check out that artist, definitely do so. I'll see if I can link his Etsy at the end of the stream. I'll go through and see if I can link it. Definitely worth checking out. Wish I had some experiences at conventions to talk about. Yeah, with conventions, you just kind of have to go. I don't have, not a whole lot of advice there. Like, I had to really look up and research ones that were around me. Like I said, R and I didn't even know that this was happening until, you know, we started looking into it. And then it was just, like, last minute. Like, we didn't even think. We just bought the tickets, and then, like, it started coming up, and oh my gosh, I did not prepare nearly enough that I should have, but they're a lot of fun. They're a lot of fun if you get the chance to go to them. Let's see. I tried to share his Instagram, but it didn't show up for some reason. Oh, that might be, if you tried to share it in the YouTube chat, sometimes, YouTube will ban links, and it's also Streamlabs might be banning it. I'm still trying to set everything up correctly, but yeah, links are kind of, like, iffy. If you text it to me, or DM it to me, then I'll try and link it on the video itself. Anyways, so, when we were, so, yeah, okay, I completely lost where I was for a second. Tom Savini. So, yeah, Tom Savini is just cool in general. Like, you know, he signed the poster, you know, he was very nice when we were telling him about everything. And then, like, when we went to get the picture with him, he just, you know, I took out my phone to take the photo, and he just wordlessly just held out his hand for the phone, and I was like, oh, okay, thinking he might have been going to hand it to his assistant, and he just wordlessly turned the phone around and took an actual selfie with us. So just sitting on R and I's phone is just an actual selfie with Tom Savini. Such a cool guy. So yes, also highly recommend if you go to a horror convention and Tom Savini is there, stop by, check him out. He's such a cool guy. And then, so at this point, we're kind of looking around, debating on, you know, who we're gonna see next. And then suddenly, the loudspeakers come on. And it's for Matthew Lillard. And my friend's ticket gets called. And so immediately, we rush over to the line and we're let in. And for the first time in that convention, I guess not the first time because we got to see David Arquette, but the first time for Matthew Lillard in that convention, our hopes were not dashed. We were in line and we could see Matthew Lillard. We got up there, and Matthew Lillard, by the way, is such a nice man. Like, I know I've said that about a lot of the people so far, but he was hugging everyone. He was posing for photos. He was signing everything. He was, you know, he was letting everyone take their time. Honestly, such a nice man. 100% recommend, like, if you have the chance. I know it's hard for, like, Matthew Lillard is a really big name and is only getting bigger, and it's going to be, you know, it'll be tight at conventions to see him because of, like, how big his line gets. But, like, man, it is so worth it. He makes the experience worth it. And my friend had drawn a photo for Matthew Lillard that had, you know, Shaggy from Scooby-Doo, Ghostface on it, and Springtrap. And she had him sign it. He told her that it was really good. He hugged her. They took a photo, and then, like, I got a photo with him, and he squeezed both of us after the photo. The only thing I regret, I really wanted R to have her experience because she gave me that experience with David Arquette. And I really wanted R to have her, like, have that moment. I wish I would have asked Matthew Lillard for a hug because I kind of chickened out. And I know he would have given me one, but I kind of chickened out. I didn't want to, like, you know, make him do anything. And, yeah, I regret that. I regret not asking him. Man gives the best hugs. I bet he looks like he gave the best hugs. He squeezed me. You know, he squeezed my shoulder and everything. And so I'm counting that as a win. But I really wish I would have asked to also get a hug from Matthew Lillard because he just seems like he was so sweet. I don't even like hugs usually, but he was the ultimate exception. Yeah, I bet. Like, his hugs looked like very nice, very warm, very wholesome. But yeah, even then, he was so sweet, very nice to us. Just absolutely recommend it. In fact, if I do see Matthew Lillard again at a convention, which I want to, because I kind of... Okay, this is getting really into pipe dream, but like I kind of would love to go back to a horror convention and try to get as many signatures of Scream as I can. It's just one of my favorite horror movies, and I'd love to be able to, you know, get a signature from Matthew Lillard and Neve Campbell, you know, all the people that were there. But the convention ended early on Sunday, so we didn't really have time or money to stop at everyone's. Definitely think it's possible. I hope so. You know, Matthew Lillard's line, it took a lot to get to it, but like, I definitely hope that I have the opportunity again. Anyways, so the Matthew Lillard experience was great. 10 out of 10, recommend. And as we left the line, and we're both on cloud 9 here, we both got to see the people we really wanted to. We're, you know, heading towards the exit, and we see one last person that we had been seeing all convention, and that was Doug Jones. At least now we know, be as early as can be. Yep, definitely. And Doug Jones played a huge role in a lot of my childhood movies. Like, if you don't think you've seen Doug Jones before, you probably have seen Doug Jones. He is a character actor. He plays a lot of, like, the monsters in a lot of movies. So, you know, you've probably seen him with a lot of makeup. He, for one that I think a lot of people, if you watch Disney Channel, he plays Billy in Hocus Pocus. He plays that eye monster in Pan's Labyrinth. I'm pretty sure he plays another monster too in Pan's Labyrinth, but I can't remember right now. He plays the Fishman in Shape of Water. He plays in Star Trek, though I can't remember the character's name. He plays in everything, guys. Like, Doug Jones plays in so much. He's the Fawn? Okay. I was just like, I know he plays another character in Pan's Labyrinth. I just can't think of what it was. Yeah. So, Doug Jones plays in a lot, and, you know, we all convention had been talking about, like, you know, it looks like so much fun to be able to meet Doug Jones. We'd love to do it if we have the time. But we were really worried that we wouldn't have the time. But we ended up seeing, you know, the two main people we wanted to. So, what do you know? We have the time to see Doug Jones. But the other problem came in with the money to see Doug Jones. So both of us, we get in line, and we're scrambling because we're not sure if either of us have the money. But we put our money together, and by God, we had just enough. And so we both got to see Doug Jones. Also an incredible man. I would actually say that out of all of the signings and photos we got to do. Oh, got to go? All right. I'll see you later, Yuji. Thanks for joining. I think out of all of the signings that we got to do, Doug Jones has to be, like, just the best, most wholesome experience. Drink some water, my friends. Will do. See ya. But yeah, out of everyone, Doug Jones has to be, like, I think just the best, like, overall experience. Because, you know, he was hugging you as soon as you got up. He was talking to you the entire time. You know, he wanted to hear what you had to say. He, you know, was giving you, like, you know, Matthew Lillard gave warm hugs. So did Doug Jones. And, you know, for the photos, he was posing for all of them. He'd be like, all right, now we're going to do this. All right, now we're going to take a photo like this. It was so much fun. He also dressed super dapper throughout the whole weekend. Yes, he did. I actually commented on that because I'm just like, you're the best dressed person here. It's truly, he dressed like amazing throughout that entire convention. Like, Doug Jones has the wardrobe that I wish I had. Super animated and friendly, absolute sweetheart, absolutely agree with that. Like, again, out of everyone we talked to, I think, like, just the best overall experience for, like, talking to them was with Doug Jones and Dee Wallace. I think both of them were just very personable and had, like, it was just such a great experience. Not to say that the others were bad, they weren't. All of them were worth seeing. But, like, you know, a lot of them didn't have a lot of time. You know, like, David Arquette, like, had hundreds of people in line, and so did Matthew Lillard. So they, you know, they tried to make time for everyone and tried to hear you out, but they only had so much time they could talk to you. And, you know, Jason Patrick, also amazing. I had a really good time, but I also was crying during that experience because I hadn't prepared myself. So, like, the experience was not on Jason Patrick, that was on me. Jason Patrick was also a very, very good experience, you know, also very nice, heard me out with everything, commented on everything, very sweet man. So, yes, that was an incredible, incredible experience. Absolutely meet Doug Jones if you ever have the chance. It is a very, very fun meet and greet and photo op. And on that note, we actually ended that convention with a Doug Jones Q&A. We got to attend that panel. It was the only Q&A that we got to attend that day, but we were just so busy with all of the signings that I didn't think we'd be able to do. But Doug Jones had a lot of amazing things to say. There was a lot of behind the scenes stuff that he talked about. If you are a fan of Del Toro films, he talked a ton about that and a lot of his like early roles and stuff. Absolutely recommend, you know, checking that out. That panel will also be available. It was recorded by the staff of Frightmare, so that should also be on their channel as well. But here comes the surprise of the night, because that's where we ended the con. You know, we were officially done once we did the Doug Jones panel. But then there was a twist that we were not expecting. And that came in the form of an announcement being made that like, oh, hey, yeah, we're having a showing of Scream that will have another Q&A with Matthew Lillard, David Arquette, and Skeet Ulrich. There's going to be another one. And we're going to kind of end the con with that. But, you know, it's a ticketed event. It's really expensive. But they were like, oh yeah, we still have seats for it. Well, me and R had checked earlier the day before, and it was sold out. There was no seats for it. So, you know, we were kind of like, okay, yeah, sure. But we went on anyway just to check, you know, just to see. Not expecting anything. So we opened up for, I think it was Alamo Drafthouse that was, you know, selling the tickets for this, because there was one right down the street. And so we opened it up, kind of like, okay, yeah, we're not gonna get in, but we might as well check. And sure enough, there were 2 seats available. But at this time, we were still like, okay, yeah, no, that's cool, but like, it's probably not gonna happen. It'll like, you know, kick us out before the seats will probably get bought up. But we decided to humor ourselves and put in and see if, you know, we could buy the ticket. So we went in, saw the hefty price tag that neither of us were pleased with, by the way. That was quite the expensive event, especially after that con, when we had just like, you know, put our last money into seeing Doug Jones. But, you know, we saw the price and we were just like, you know, this is never going to happen again. So if we get in, might as well. So we hit the buy button and we got the tickets. We actually got in to see the Scream Q&A panel plus theater experience. So, to end the con, we got to go to watch Scream in theaters and listen to a last Q&A from David Arquette, Matthew Lillard, and Skeet Ulrich, which was 100% worth it. That Q&A was not recorded. It felt a lot more personable. There was a lot less people there. Matthew Lillard did go rogue in the theater and just started going to everyone's seat and, taking the questions from the audience. Not intimidating at all to just have Matthew Lillard right in your face with the microphone. I don't think I could do it justice to talk about, like, the Q&A that much, what was said or anything. There were some stories about Wes Craven that were told that were very, very sweet. It was definitely, like, amazing to hear those. I'm a huge Wes Craven fan. I really love his movies. When I was really getting into horror, really learning how to write horror, and really, like, realized I wanted to more go into the writing field, I used Wes Craven a lot as inspiration. And I still look up to that man a lot. And so hearing stories about Wes Craven was incredible. And hearing them talk about, their lives before the movie, during the movie, after the movie, they went so in depth. I mean, this Q&A lasted a long time before the movie started. And it was incredible to hear. We also even saw him at the bar beforehand. The theater had a built-in bar, for those curious. Yeah, so we got there really early and they weren't even seating us yet. So we decided to go into the bar and, hang out for a bit. I got myself a little vodka cranberry and we were just, like, waiting. And Matthew Lillard just casually walks in, orders a drink, and, talks to some people and leaves. It was just so amazing. You guys have a lot of bar stories. Only 2. There's only 2. But yeah, it was just, just casually seeing Matthew Lillard walk into the bar. Definitely not something that either of us were expecting. And again, didn't have the courage to ask Matthew Lillard for a hug. That's on me. He's not a mind reader. He can't tell, but I was just like, man, I really should ask him. Even at when we were in the theater doing the Q&A, I was even debating going, like, can I get a hug? But, like, no, I don't have the nerve to do it, man. I couldn't. I didn't want to disrupt everyone's night to ask Matthew Lillard for a hug. I didn't want to be that person. It's my one regret. My one regret for this whole convention, not getting a hug from Matthew Lillard. It's my own fault. Anyways. Just a couple yeah. Plus it's a con, it was warranted. Exactly. Especially that first day. That first day was a lot of fun. But if you want to see me on the dance floor, I have like a 2-drink minimum, okay? I can't just go out and start dancing. Anyways. Oh, man. Yeah. But I couldn't do that Q&A justice. It was incredible. It was very in-depth. It ended on the perfect question, which was a guy asked why, they thought Scream took off the way it did, why it's a movie that's so remembered, even nowadays. Like, people are still watching it and loving it just as much. And Matthew Lillard took the question and instead said, I think I should ask you that question. Why do you think that? And it was great because David Arquette and Steve Ulrich started recording it where they're just like, oh, this is great. And they started recording it going like, oh man, you guys are in the spotlight now. And the guy talked back on it, talking about his first experience with watching Scream, remembering the smell of the theater, remembering that night, remembering everything. Such a perfect response to that question. And honestly, was like the perfect segue into that movie. Like 10 out of 10 way to segue into watching Scream in theaters. And this was my first time watching Scream in theaters. Scream is one of my favorite movies, but I had never seen it in theaters before. And so getting that experience, like having them there and talking with us, and then immediately after getting to watch Scream and experiencing that again was something I truly will never forget for the rest of my life. That is honestly something that, like, I don't know how to compare it to anything. It was absolutely one of the best experiences I have ever had at a con for, like, an event. Like, honestly, one of the best experiences in my life. And I just want to thank everyone that made it possible. You know, my parents helped me a lot with being able to go. R helped me so much throughout the entire thing. Like, again, MVP of the whole thing. R's parents helped us out a lot. You know, there were so many people that made this whole experience amazing, this whole con amazing. You know, the con workers themselves, you know, the people that volunteered to be at this thing did amazing. Like, the speaker that did a lot of the, you know, interviews with everyone did an incredible job. The actors themselves being able to go, it was incredible that they were there. Honestly, 1000% the perfect con, like the perfect experience. And that was my weekend. Don't mention it. It was so much fun, and I couldn't have asked for a better con buddy to go with. Oh, thank you so much, R. It really does mean a lot. Yeah. And that's basically all I had to say with it. You know, I was so happy after watching Scream in theaters that I had gone around in my emotions to where I was just kind of like, I don't want to say numb. It wasn't quite numb, but it was like I had mellowed out completely. Like, you know, I had reached euphoria, and you know, I just kind of mellowed out. I was dead tired though. It was like 1 a.m. when, you know, we got out. And we still had to drive, you know, back to the hotel and everything. And then eventually I had to drive home. I was so tired. But it was 100% worth it. And I would do it all again if I had the chance. Don't know when I'll have the chance again. I don't know how I'm going to financially recover from any of that. But it was great. Also, last thing to mention is that the Scream movie started, that whole scene with Drew Barrymore and everything, and I started crying. I'm not kidding. I started crying in the theater because I was watching Scream for the first time. Well, not the first time, but, you know, the first time in theaters. That reminds me. At that screening, there was a family that was there. That they were holding a sign saying, "No spoilers, please. It's our first time watching Scream." And they only held that sign up at the end of the panel. And so, like, you know, they had been spoiling it the entire panel. And they held that up and the guy was like, "What do you mean? What do you mean it's your first time?" And Matthew Lillard got a kick out of it. Matthew Lillard was laughing so hard. And he walked up and was just like, "Take a picture with me, take a picture with me." And like they took a picture of the family together with Matthew Lillard in front of the Scream poster, holding up the sign that said, "I haven't seen Scream yet, no spoilers." What a perfect way to watch Scream for the first time. What a perfect photo. That was incredible. Yeah, the host went into such a rage. It was hilarious. He started spoiling other movies too. He just started going into it. It was so funny. Oh man. Yeah, that absolutely was great. So I am going to promote the event. Texas Frightmare happens every year. And I'm definitely thinking about going again, and so you guys should definitely think about it too. If you guys are close to Texas, far from Texas, feel like going down, I had to travel for it too, you know, it's a lot of fun. So I highly recommend that event. The staff there did a really good job with it. And yeah, that's about it for that story. And it's already been, wow, 2.5 hours. Wow. Turns out I can do just chatting streams. I don't have to have a game to back me up to just talk my head off. Turns out I just like talking, I guess. I like hearing my own voice. Well, you know, I joked about that before, but I was kind of hoping that wasn't true in some degrees. But what can I say? Well, That's good that I can at least get through these. So, with that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and end the stream. It's pretty late now. So, yes, you can talk. Thank you. As a streamer, I'll take that as a compliment and not an insult. Anyway, it's gotten pretty late, and it's been 2.5 hours, so I am going to leave you guys. Thank you so much for coming to the stream. I really do appreciate it. Like always, love you lots, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye!